Whatever name Adam called them, that was their name. Sir, you can change the destiny of that child on your knees. You can change the destiny of your daughter on your knees. You can legislate until Christus is formed in the life of that child. You can speak over the life of that child until that child that is almost wasting can no longer waste. There is nothing that God cannot change from the place of prayer. That's why the most dangerous Christian is a Christian that can pray. The most dangerous, the most lethal of our weapons is the weapon of prayer. The weapon of prayer. The devil does not care how much books you know, how much English you speak. But one believer who can pray can dislodge a whole hordes and armies of darkness. One believer. I was poisoned. I went to the village, I was poisoned. There was a time I was sharing I said on this altar, the Lord showed me a meeting that was held amongst some spirits to send a snake to me. I announced it 3 weeks ahead, 2 or 3 weeks ahead on the altar, that the marine, it was the Kishat. We had a lady who came for a meeting here that came from the 5th cosmic sea. That's the Mediterranean spirit. And then she was knocked down. Some of you must have been present that day. She was calling for help. She was from far away India. You know, these guys travel with the speed of light. You know, Pastor Paul, how I will be coming to your quarters if we don't live close in heaven? You know, heaven is 1 trillion times 1 trillion times 1 trillion times 1 trillion times bigger than the earth. So you might be living at the farthest part of heaven. I'll be living on the other one. If I want to visit you in heaven, how I will visit you is the speed of thought. That's how angels move. You think angels, when they want to come to sensors, they start flying. They start flying. God gives them an assignment. You are coming to sensors, and they think sensors, they are in sensors. It's the speed of thought. They think it, they are there. That's how fast they can be. This lady was summoning the 7 sisters of the deep sea. 7 sisters of the deep sea. And when we were done, the Lord told me they will send you snake. I announced it here. And then in the middle of the night, I got up. I finished praying. I was in study. My son was, I think, about 6 or 7 then. Went into, because my room is a master's room, went into my toilet to go and read. And then he ran out. He said, there is a snake there doing head like this. At a point, I wanted to ignore it. As I ran in, it was a venomous cobra, viper, black. I don't know how long it had been in that particular toilet. And then the door of the toilet was open. By the time I came, this serpent was as though 300 persons beating it. It will raise the hair and fall. Like this part was already broken. He couldn't raise the head very well. It will raise it and fall. It will raise it and... Imagine how weak it was that I took a hanger and killed it. And the blood that came out of it is more than 7 times the blood of a snake. It was in the process of killing it that the Lord said to me, it came from the Kishat kingdom. Those who do know their God, sir, there is something about us where we dwell. Where we dwell, there is an instruction: touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. They move from nation to nation. The Lord rebuked kings for their sake. He reproved kings. He said, touch not, do my prophet no harm. One of my beloved one here, a snake bit her, and she said she learned what I've been doing, and she took water, called me, I didn't pick, so she blessed the water and then continued sowing. They were telling her, you need to go to... I know what a lot of your mind is telling you now. Of course, if your faith is not strong, you can take drugs. God can heal through drugs. There are dimensions to these things. Am I talking to somebody here? We are not against it. If your faith cannot carry that, you can't do the surgery. I will even pray the surgery will be successful. But there is another dimension, a higher dimension, where someone will not do the surgery and it will disappear. So she took the water and continued what she was doing. By the time she called me, she said, sir, I was okay. I returned her call. I was trying to get to you. A snake bit me, but I blessed water, what you have been teaching us. A part of me wanted to tell her, but her faith was vehement. And then people began to say, are you sure the snake actually bit you because you should have died? And she showed them the mark. And the people that were around when the snake fast, Paul sailed through a particular island, and because it was cold, he was gathering some stick, and the venomous viper, Echieteka, fixed into the hand of Paul and then bit Paul. Was fasting to his hand for a long time. Paul shook it into the fire, and then they waited for a long time. The Bible said that this kind of snakes are the ones that bite you in less than 3 minutes, you are dead. So all the entirety of the people of that land came and said, this is an evil sign. A man that a snake could bite like this is an evil man. So they gave him little time to die. He didn't die. They gave him another little time, a longer time. After they waited for a very long time, they changed their mind and they said, a God is come unto us in the likeness of man. We become gods when what affects men in the blood cannot affect us. The life of the spirit is not in the blood. Leviticus 17:11 says that the power of life is in the blood. That's beyond life. But there is a higher life in Christ. For the just shall live by his faith. And we walk by faith and not by sight. If the spirit of him that raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you, that same spirit quickens and vitalizes your mortal body. No treatment. There were physicians in those days. What gave Paul the audacity not even to pray? There was no record of praying. He continued his activity as though nothing happened. Oh, sir. There is a dimension that these guys operated in. And guess what? The last day church should do better than them. Because we are the ones that entered into the marriage proper. Paul them saw datings and courtship of Christ. We are the ones that came into the consummations of the marriage of Christ. Because they all had the spirit upon. We have the spirit within. The New Testament began in Acts of the Apostle. Because you cannot read a man's will until he's dead. It was in Acts of the Apostle that the will of Christ was read. And the Bible said, now are you the sons of God. If they operated in these terrific and terrible wonders of God, how much more we that have received the abundance of grace and the gift of righteousness. So the first aspect of the mighty works of God is when he works wonders in our lives. But there is an ultimate realm. That is when God begins to flow the current of his wonders through us. When God begins to use us as the extension of his power on earth. When God through us subdues kingdoms. The Bible says, what shall we say about these dangerous prophets who through faith waxed valiant in battle, turned to fly the armies of the aliens? The Bible says they subdued kingdoms. Subdued kingdoms. They drove away the armies of the aliens. No demon could operate within their territory and jurisdiction through faith. And all of these guys, Hebrews 11:39, none of them received the promise. They were waiting for us. For they without us, we are not made perfect. And yet they are waiting for. We are powerless in Christ. So Ephesians chapter 3 verse 20 shows us that the power at work in us. What is this power at work in us? The power of consecration. So a lot of people desire the power of God, but they do not see it in their life because they don't live a consecrated life.